Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. An Australian homeowner has been hailed as a local hero and humorously nicknamed Captain Underpants after chasing down and restraining a teenage intruder who broke into his home in the middle of the night. According to Victoria Police, the dramatic encounter unfolded around 3:30 a.m. on October 13th, when the homeowner in question, 40-year-old Grant Brown, was jolted awake by strange noises coming from the ground floor of his home in the Melbourne suburb of Hawthorne. When he went to investigate, wearing nothing but his underwear, he found two teenagers allegedly rummaging through his living room. Startled, the pair bolted out the door, but Grant was right behind them. He managed to catch one of the suspects, a 15-year-old boy, holding him until police arrived. In a later interview with local media, Grant described the situation this way, stating, quote, "I started yelling and chased them out. One of them tried to jump a neighbor's fence, but it was a dead end, so I pulled him back when he was halfway up." The 40-year-old also explained how the teenage suspect ended up calling police on his own, telling reporters in the same interview, quote, "I pulled up his top to see if he had a weapon. He said, 'Don't hurt me, you can call the cops.' So I said, 'All right, you call them,' and just held on to him until they got there." The tense standoff, as well as Grant's barely clothed pursuit, was captured on CCTV footage from a nearby house, quickly earning him the nickname Captain Underpants from amused neighbors. Police later arrested the second suspect, a 14-year-old boy, nearby. Both teens were taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of aggravated burglary. Investigators say the pair were also linked to a second incident that occurred just an hour earlier on a nearby street, where another homeowner was awakened by his dog's barking and found a teen trying to crawl through a doggy door. The resident pushed the would-be intruder back out, prompting both boys to flee. Police allege the teens were attempting to steal cars during the overnight break-ins. They are now facing multiple burglary-related charges, though both of them have since been released on bail. That decision has left many in the community outraged, especially because one of the teen suspects was already out on bail at the time of this week's incident. Grant was among those who expressed frustration, stating in a later interview, quote, "The premier on TV yesterday saying how tough we are on youth crime and on bail laws. It's a load of rubbish. It's frightening. And yeah, one of them was on bail and the other one was released yesterday, 2 hours after he was arrested. He's carrying a knife, entering our house, and then coming back when he was arrested, saying he's going to come back. Then he gets let out in 2 hours. It's a real worry here. The actions don't match the words at all." Still, despite the amusing nickname, several of Grant's neighbors say that they were impressed by his actions, calling him a hero. The 40-year-old, meanwhile, says that he just did what he felt he had to do, saying, quote, "You don't expect to find strangers in your house at that hour. I just did what anyone else would do. Maybe with a little bit less clothing." The residents of a normally quiet neighborhood in England have been left reeling this week after 2 young children were found dead in their home, and a 43-year-old woman said to be related to them has now been arrested for their murders. The chilling ordeal began at around 7:30 a.m. on October 12th, when authorities were called to a home on Corporation Street in the town of Stafford. Police and paramedics arrived to find 2 young children, ages just 2 and 3, suffering from stab wounds inside. Despite the best efforts of emergency responders, sadly, the little girl and boy were pronounced dead at the scene. A third child, believed to be a second young boy, reportedly survived the attack. Witnesses say they saw him being carried from the house while his devastated father struggled to process what was happening. Unfortunately, very little has currently been released about the details of the crime. All we know is that a 43-year-old woman, said to be a relative of the victims, was arrested on suspicion of their murders. Some sources have speculated that the woman is the children's mother, based on statements from neighbors who spoke with reporters. They told local media outlets that a couple had moved into the house about 10 months ago from Pakistan after the husband was relocated by his company for work. However, this has not yet been confirmed. As for the 2 deceased children, they have been identified as 2-year-old Miraj-ul-Zahra and 3-year-old Abdul Momin Al-Fatah. At the time of this recording, the 43-year-old female suspect has been detained under the Mental Health Act and remains in custody on suspicion of murder. Police are asking the public not to speculate about the crime and have said that the circumstances are still under investigation, but that they do not believe there is any wider threat to the public. Authorities in Germany say that an attack on a newly elected mayor took a disturbing turn this week, after what was initially thought to be a home invasion instead transformed into something even darker. The shocking case began shortly after noon on October 7th, when police were called to the home of 57-year-old Erich Stolze. That call was reportedly made by Stolze's 17-year-old adopted daughter, who said that her mother had been the victim of a stabbing attack that she believed was some kind of robbery. Immediately, the case was treated with the highest priority, not just because this was a violent crime, but because Stolze was the newly elected mayor of the western town of Herdecke. The labor lawyer turned politician won a runoff election at the end of September and was due to take office early next month. Upon arriving at the scene, officers found Stolze sitting in a chair in her living room, bleeding heavily. It would soon be determined that she had suffered 13 stab wounds, as well as other injuries, including a skull fracture and bruising to various parts of her body. She was rushed to a hospital in life-threatening condition, though thankfully she survived. Based on statements from Stolze's daughter, as well as her 15-year-old son, who was also adopted, police initially feared that this might have been a politically motivated attack. However, as they began to take a closer look at the scene, they uncovered some disturbing details. Details that suggested this was not, in fact, a home invasion, but that the whole incident had taken place inside the house. According to local media, much of this evidence was found in the cellar of the home, where it appeared that there had been a struggle. Investigators also recovered 2 knives, as well as some discarded clothing it's believed Stolze was wearing at the time of the attack. Things got even more unsettling when Stolze herself was finally able to speak with authorities. That's when she allegedly told them that the same 17-year-old daughter who'd called police was the one responsible for the brutal attack. While the full details of what happened are still being investigated, local news outlets state that it's believed the whole thing began when an argument between Stolze and her daughter escalated. The 57-year-old was then allegedly confined in the cellar, where she was subjected to an hours-long ordeal that included being beaten and repeatedly stabbed. At one point, the teen also reportedly tried to set her mother's hair on fire using an aerosol spray. Though both of Stolze's adopted children were briefly detained at the time of the initial incident, the 15-year-old boy was quickly released. It's expected that the 17-year-old will also be released, as authorities say they do not have enough to hold her for pretrial detention. Investigators likewise announced that they plan to pursue the equivalent of aggravated assault or grievous bodily harm charges against the teen rather than attempted murder. At the time of this recording, the case is still under investigation, and Erich Stolze remains in hospital recovering from her injuries. No information about a motive has been released concerning what led up to the terrifying crime. Representatives from the Hong Kong police force say that 2 people were left critically injured this week after a terrifying and seemingly random knife attack at a public park. The incident occurred at around 12:30 p.m. on Saturday, October 4th at Hoi Sham Park, located in Hong Kong's To Kwa Wan area. Police said the victims, a 37-year-old man by the last name of Falk and a 25-year-old man by the last name of Yan, were found bleeding heavily near a chess table inside the park. According to investigators, the suspect, a 31-year-old man by the last name of Hon, was sitting alone near the victims before the attack. Witnesses told police that Hon appeared to be using his phone and occasionally glanced in the victim's direction, though there was no interaction between them. About half an hour later, Hon reportedly walked towards the 2 men, pulled out a small fruit knife, and suddenly began stabbing them. Both victims suffered multiple injuries. Falk sustained 3 wounds to his shoulders, while Jan was stabbed 10 times in the neck, chest, back, and hand. Paramedics rushed the pair to Queen Elizabeth Hospital, where they remained in critical condition as of Sunday afternoon. Hon fled the park following the assault, tossing the knife into Victoria Harbour. Police divers were later deployed to search for the weapon, but had not recovered it as of the latest available reports. After a 28-hour manhunt, Hon was apprehended at a different park while hiding in one of its bathrooms. According to reports, the 31-year-old is homeless and is known to frequent many parks in the area. While it's suspected that the attack was the result of mental illness, local hospitals say they have no record of Hon seeking psychiatric treatment from public hospitals. Officers are still investigating what may have triggered the unprovoked attack, though so far nothing has been confirmed. Authorities in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh say that they are investigating an equally shocking and disturbing crime this week after a man recently filmed himself repeatedly shooting his friend, the footage of which was then posted to social media. The incident occurred on Wednesday, October 1st, in a forested area in Meerut district. The chilling 11-second video shows the victim, identified as 25-year-old Mohammed Adil, lying on the ground as 3 bullets are fired into his chest by another man in quick succession. Right after, another voice, believed to belong to the person recording, can be heard saying, "Drop it." The gunman and his accomplice then fled the scene on a motorcycle. Police recovered Adil's body shortly after the clip began circulating online. Investigators confirmed that the footage matched the crime scene, though they are still examining whether Int'l was already dead before being shot or if the execution was recorded in real time. Authorities have identified 6 suspects in connection with the killing, who they have referred to only by the first names of Hamza, Julkamar, Imran, Salman, Chavez, and Iqbal. Right now, all of the men are currently on the run, though it's believed Hamza and Julkamar are the main perpetrators. A 25,000 rupee, or approximately $300 US reward, has been offered for information leading to their arrests. According to police officials, investigators are looking into whether filming and uploading the murder was part of a deliberate attempt to spread fear or challenge law enforcement. One representative told local media, quote, "We are investigating why the accused filmed the act and made it viral. This raises serious concerns about organized crime elements in the area." Police sources also revealed that Adil's murder may have stemmed from suspicions that he tipped off rivals involved in the killing of his neighbor, who was gunned down a month prior. Int'l lived across the street from this other victim, and it's theorized that he might have been targeted as well to shut him up. At the time of this recording, the investigation continues. Police in the central Dutch city of Almere are investigating a shocking case of suspected arson this week after a local beekeeper's hives were burned to the ground, killing an estimated 500,000 bees. The fire broke out on the evening of Tuesday, October 7th, in the city's Beatrix Park, a scenic wooded area often used by joggers and walkers. The hives, which stood on wooden pallets behind a small fence and roof structure, were completely destroyed. According to police, early evidence suggests that an accelerant was used to deliberately set the hives on fire. Photos shared online by the Almere Westport Police show smoldering debris surrounded by ash and burned wood. Authorities have appealed for witnesses, confirming that small fires have been set in the park before, but never anywhere near the bee colonies. The owner of the hives, beekeeper Harold Stranger, says the destruction has left him devastated. He says each hive held between 40,000 and 60,000 bees. In an interview with local media, he told reporters, quote, "It really hurts that my 10 hives have died. The thought that someone would do this is terrible. My 10 colonies are gone. The bees I've worked on for years are gone forever." Harold, who has kept the bees at the same spot for 9 years, said police told him the use of an accelerant made it clear that this was no accident. He estimated his total loss at roughly 7,000 euros, or about $8,100 US, and said that barely any of his bees survived. Despite the tragedy, fellow beekeepers have already offered support. One local beekeeper, Helen Niemann, told Dutch radio that she plans to donate one of her own colonies to help Harold rebuild. In that same interview I just mentioned, Harold stated that he's never had any complaints about his bees and that he's still struggling to understand what happened. He said in part, quote, "I've always had positive contact with people here. I've never had any problems with anyone." He also noted that no matter what, it will take him a long time to rebuild, stating, quote, "You don't get colonies like that back easily. It took years to build them up." Police say the investigation is ongoing and are urging anyone with information about the suspected arson to contact them. Authorities in southern Italy say that a 58-year-old man recently confessed to a horrifying double murder that's left an entire community in mourning, after allegedly killing his wife and teenage son and severely injuring his daughter before attempting to flee with both children in his car. The disturbing events began in the early hours of Monday, September 30th, inside the family's home in the small town of Paupisi, located in the province of Benevento. According to investigators, 58-year-old Salvatore Occone attacked his 49-year-old wife, Elisa Polcino, while she was asleep in bed, striking her in the head with a large stone and killing her instantly. Elisa's body was discovered later that morning by her mother-in-law, who grew concerned when Elisa didn't leave the house or take her children to school like she did every other day. When police arrived, Elisa was already dead, and her husband, along with their 2 youngest children, were gone. What followed was a massive 12-hour manhunt involving helicopters and patrol units which were deployed across the region. Eventually, Okone's car was spotted roughly 40 miles away, near the town of Ferrazzano. But by the time officers reached it, they found a devastating scene. Okone was inside the vehicle with his 2 missing teenage children. His 15-year-old son was dead, and his 16-year-old daughter was barely alive. Authorities say the injuries suffered by the children suggests that they were also attacked with stones and possibly a glass bottle. Traces of blood were found both inside the family home and near where the car was parked, suggesting they were attacked before being dragged to the vehicle. Okone was immediately arrested and later charged with aggravated double homicide, attempted homicide, and kidnapping. During questioning the next day, prosecutors say he confessed, admitting that he had killed his wife and son and had attempted to kill his daughter before trying to take his own life as well. The surviving teen was rushed to a hospital in the province of Isernia, where she underwent emergency surgery for severe head injuries. Doctors have since reported that she remains in stable but serious condition. Officials also revealed that Okone had a documented history of psychiatric illness, including chronic psychosis, and was previously hospitalized under compulsory treatment in 2011. However, they are also investigating other motives, including femicide, specifically because of statements that Okone made following his arrest. During questioning, the 58-year-old reportedly blamed his wife for what had happened, telling investigators she was, quote, aggressive and controlling. According to reports, Okone and Elisa's oldest son, 23-year-old Mario, was not home at the time of the crime, and as a result did not witness the horrific assault on the rest of his family. The young man has since traveled to the hospital, where relatives say he remains by his sister's bedside. At the time of this recording, Salvatore Okone remains in custody, and the investigation continues. Authorities in Brazil have released shocking new details in a complex and ongoing investigation this week, announcing that they have arrested 3 women in connection with a series of murders across the country this year. They also now allege that the main suspect is a twisted and remorseless serial killer who carried out the crimes for money, revenge, and pleasure. According to authorities, the 4 murders in question took place between January and May of 2025 in the states of São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Police allege that with the exception of a single victim, it's believed that the targets were killed using a powerful pesticide similar to rat poison, one that the primary suspect, 35-year-old Ana Paula Veloso Fernandez, hid inside food and drinks which she gave to the unsuspecting victims. She allegedly did this with the help of her twin sister, Roberta Cristina Veloso Fernandez, as well as her friend, 43-year-old law student and bus driver Michelle Paiva da Silva. Police believe the women lured victims into their homes or to social gatherings, then served them contaminated meals. If that isn't disturbing enough, Anna allegedly confessed to investigators following her arrest that she'd tested her poisoned concoctions on animals before moving to her human targets. She said she wanted to make sure everything worked and that she'd killed at least 10 dogs before perfecting the dosage and timing. She also apparently revealed that she committed the murders both to steal money from her victims and for personal satisfaction. Anna's first victim was her landlord, 51-year-old Marcelo Fonseca. She allegedly stabbed him to death at the end of January, keeping his body in her apartment for at least 5 days before her young son and her niece started to complain about the awful odor. The second victim was a 49-year-old woman named Maria Rodriguez, who met Anna online. After believing that Anna was her friend, Maria agreed to meet up for coffee and cake in April. Upon returning home, she quickly got sick and died. While these first 2 incidents were apparently investigated at the time they happened, Anna was not initially linked to either murder. In Marcello's case, police could not find enough evidence, and in Maria's case, Anna had given a fake name. However, as the 35-year-old continued to push her luck, that began to change. A little over 2 weeks after Maria's murder, Anna allegedly murdered 65-year-old Neil Correa da Silva. According to investigators, this killing was fairly unique. The 35-year-old reportedly carried out the crime at the request of one of her accomplices, Michelle Paiva da Silva. Michelle was Neil's daughter, and detectives say she offered to pay Anna and her sister Roberta to poison his food. During their investigation, police say they recovered text messages between the women discussing payment and other details of the crime. The final victim, at least as far as police know about at this time, was a 21-year-old Tunisian national named Haider Mazares. Haider was reportedly in a romantic relationship with Anna. After they broke up, authorities say she faked a pregnancy and poisoned him with a milkshake when he refused to reconcile the relationship. In that case, Anna apparently pretended to be a witness. Anna was arrested back in July when investigators first began connecting all of these dots, though it seems they are still uncovering more. According to the latest reports, before any of these murders took place, it's suspected the 35-year-old attempted to poison an entire law class at the school she attended. That time, she allegedly used a contaminated cake, attaching a note that said, quote, "To the 4D law class, have a great long weekend, a cake to sweeten your morning." Anna signed the note with a different person's name, which investigators now say was an attempt to frame the wife of a military police officer she was having an affair with. Thankfully, in that instance, no one ate the poisoned cake. Anna's twin sister, Roberta, who was accused of assisting her with most of the crimes, was arrested back in August, while Michelle da Silva was taken into custody just last week on October 7th. As you can probably tell, the case is still in its early stages, and it might well come out that there are even more crimes that authorities still don't know about. Detectives described Anna as manipulative, methodical, and devoid of remorse, with a police representative telling reporters this week, quote, "She didn't kill impulsively, she killed with precision. She takes pleasure in killing. Her motivation doesn't matter. She wants to kill." The representative went on to say they were certain that she would continue to commit murders if released. During a search of Anna's home, investigators found containers of the pesticide it's believed she used to carry out most of the killings. Forensics teams are now awaiting toxicology results from the victims' exhumed bodies to confirm the use of the chemical. At the time of this recording, all 3 women remain in custody while police continue investigating the possibility of additional victims. Hey there. Before you take off, we'd just like to take a second and say that we really appreciate you sticking around to the end of the video. Luke and I are so grateful for our incredible Crime Zone community, so thank you for being a part of it. If you want to help Crime Zone continue to grow, one of the easiest things you can do is leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. Be sure to hit that notification bell as well and select all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to support the channel, there are a couple of options. We've got a thriving community over on Patreon, where you can get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. Head over to patreon.com/crimezone to learn more and to meet some of the awesome people whose names are currently on screen. If that isn't your thing, we've also now launched channel memberships so you can join directly here on YouTube. Channel members get a lot of the same perks as on Patreon, including extra content, without the added hassle of having to go off-platform. Now, that being said, we know times are tough and that not everyone is able to support financially. Regardless of your situation, though, we want you to know that we truly appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, and we hope to see you soon.